everyone, and welcome to episode 60 of Spill the RT.
60,
That's right, 60, Josh. I'm here with Josh
60.
Stein, all the way over there in California. Hi, Josh. How is it
Hello.
sitting?
Hello, Eamon. Can you believe that? Did you think we'd ever hit 60?
No, I don't think I want to hit 60 either. It's very expensive to live these days. I
That's
feel like
true.
I'd find it very challenging to live at 60. I
That's a
barely live
different
at
issue.
33, to be honest.
But when we started this, I don't think I envisioned what episode 60 would be. I mean, I'm serious. Like I normally joke about this kind of stuff, but like 60, it caught me. It's like, wow, that's quite a number of episodes.
It's quite a number of episodes. It is, it is. Not to mention all of the other bits and bobs that happen in between.
That's like 2.5 days of material, plus exactly who knows how many countless other weeks.
2.5 days. Oh my God. Who'd want to listen to our voice for 2.5 days straight?
Hey,
Um,
no, you're not selling it right.
sorry,
You
sorry,
want to
everyone.
listen
If
to
you
us
would like to
first.
listen to Josh and I speak absolute fabulousness, do a Josh and Eamon marathon right now over on YouTube. Please watch it on YouTube because that's where we get the streams up and that's how we want to keep being monetized. Thank you. Go for it.
You see that, folks? He gets a natural pitch and he wiffle balls it right into the corner. All right,
Yeah, baby. He
then.
shoots, he scores. Hey, excellent. I feel like I'm on a bit of a high today, Josh. I've just dropped out some art into an exhibition space.
Nice.
So looking forward to seeing how that goes on tonight, actually. It's opening
So,
tonight.
which is better? Which is better, pre-exhibition or pre-workout?
Oh,
Because pre-workout's got like 600 milligrams of caffeine. Just saying.
yeah. So, well, I mean, it depends. Well, that is if you're going to have like three shots of it, but I would be barely able to handle one shot of pre-workout, and I'm already like, I mean, that keeps me awake for at least 15 hours. I'm not. I'm staring at the ceiling. Having had the pre-workout at 7 a.m., I'm still staring at the ceiling at night at 1 a.m. the following night.
You're
It's
just
not.
not doing enough. You got to do
Oh,
more.
I'm doing enough.
You have to build up your tolerance so that
Oh.
you know.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll do that. That's got to be a spin-off show from Spill of the RT. Eamon does
There you go.
pre-workout. Okay,
Eamon,
well,
just follow Eamon around on multiple shots of pre-workout each day. Let's see what problems he gets into. There's a guy on Instagram doing that. He's trying to become an alcoholic. So he's trying to drink as much as he can every day until he becomes an alcoholic so that he could prove that he can quit. I,
disclosure alert. We have children who watch this program. Children who are watching this, it is not a good idea to become an alcoholic or is it a good idea to challenge that sort of behavior? I do not stand by that.
I
Uh,
do. See, this is
Okay.
like Siskel and Ebert. I do.
Yeah, well, you'll end up looking like him if you do that. So I mean, there you go.
Anyway,
Anywho, we're supposed to be talking about, what is it, art? Is that what we do on this
I
podcast? We talk about art?
well, we talk about various things. Are you
We
ready
are.
for what this week is? Are you
What is
ready?
happening? Tell us quick.
This week,
Well,
longest ever breath held, 50 years of fractals, and AI was accepted into a BFA program. Us, all of us, from 180 million miles away, and the Van Gogh Museum may close. All
ooh,
that and a brand new guest are up next as we start tea. Welcome to
excellent.
episode 60. We are old.
We are old. Oh God, the wrinkles really are settling in. Look, oh dear. Okay,
You're the one worried about that kind of shit.
I
I
am.
stopped worrying about that a long
I don't. I
time
don't
ago.
worry about it. I just use Dr. Hauschka all the way. He's fabulous. You know, sign up to Dr. Hauschka and you'll be sorted for life.
There's a spot. Want to sponsor us? There you go.
There you go. Dr. Hauschka is like $1 million firm, though. I'm sure that they have a few 100,000 that they could share with us. That little
So,
plug. So I
shall
feel, yes.
shall we bring in our guest?
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. What you been waiting for? Are you going to introduce her?
No, I'm letting you introduce her. I do the
Okay,
clapping.
ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, please welcome our guest for today, our special 60th birthday. It is Karen Ebbs. Hi, Karen.
Hi, hello,
Hi.
how are you all?
Hi, Karen. Welcome to the Madhouse.
Thank you.
It is like sitting around the fire in an Irish household today, as we all get down with our shots of whiskey, or not.
There you go. Get down with our shots of whiskey. You have an interesting way, a turn of phrase today, Eamon.
I always have an interesting way of turns of phrases. Like even how I said that was an interesting way of saying a turn of phrase. But yes. Karen, we
So,
have so much to talk to you about because you've had some exciting things happen over the last few days only. So we will speak to you about that later on the show, but we are thrilled to have you here. So let's go to our first story, Josh. Where are we heading to?
So off to Croatia we go. And let me ask you both this. How long can you hold your breath?
How long can I hold my breath? Probably about maybe 20 seconds.
How about you, Karen?
Probably about a minute, but I'd be struggling.
Okay, how about
Yeah.
30 minutes?
No,
30 minutes, not a hope. Not a hope. I'd be dead.
no.
I'd be gone flat.
So the world record was just set for the longest single breath held. What you do is, right, these are like deep divers, right? This is how they train. So they go underneath like in pools and they just sit there for as long as they freaking can. So this
Okay.
guy did it for 30 minutes and beat the record by about 6 minutes.
I just can't get over how his physique looks, to be honest.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's like,
Yes.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So there's an actual theme for the show. There's an actual theme for the show. And
Okay.
so I just wanted to start here because baseline humanity is continuously trying to push itself in weird kind of ways, right?
Yes.
Like if you're a boxer and you punch and punch and punch over time, you're the knuckles sticking up and you're literally
Mm,
able to hit that other people can't hit. Right? Like you develop your own superhuman powers, if you will, by just pushing the envelope.
mm.
So I thought this would be an interesting way to start because it was just so bizarre to me. Hey, like, what do you do for a hobby? Oh, I just sit in the bottom of pools. Why do you do that? Well, because
Mm.
professionally, I go down under the ocean as far as I can go. Right? Like, this is who we are,
Yeah.
species. Just saying.
Karen, have you got any pure oxygen sitting at home that you could use to test this
No.
yourself?
Only in the one in the tank. I know I'm joking, but I no, but I saw something a while ago, and the size of the lungs and the expanse of the shoulders for people who are their lungs are just expanded beyond all the norm, like beyond
Mm.
the norm. Yeah, their physique is completely changed, and they're all upper body kind of.
Oh,
Yeah.
like
These people, though,
buff.
I think it's less like the size of their lungs and more that they've like trained their bodies to be able to very slowly absorb oxygen.
Yeah. Oh,
Right? 'Cause what happens if you try to hold your breath, you have a panic that happens. You have these
Yeah.
CO2 that builds up, and then your body's like, no, I have to have oxygen. And so it like demands that you breathe. Like it's very
mm,
hard to push yourself to die by holding your
Mm.
breath. But like they're 30 minutes. 30
Yeah. I
minutes.
think I think he's outdone a dolphin, hasn't he? Wasn't it, was it a dolphin that could only hold his breath for just about that time?
wow.
Apparently there are a number of the sort of like seagoing mammals that are able to do this, and who knows? I don't hang around with dolphins. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you should because they're beautiful creatures. You go
I
to the
have
west coast of Ireland and you go to Kerry and you'll find yourself a dolphin there that will come up and smile and say hi.
I
Fungi,
have
I think his name is.
I have tattoos of dolphins and have had for decades. It's not that I don't like dolphins, but I don't hang out with them, so I can't tell you how
Okay.
long they.
Okay. We better fix that. We better fix that, Josh. Right. Moving to our next story then, as we try to beat humankind and its natural abilities to breathe.
So I guess where are we going next? Next, we go backwards in time. I guess right because
Okay.
we're just the 50th anniversary of the fractal. And for those that don't
Yes.
know, fractals are a form of mathematics that, when visualized, have these kind of infinitely repeating patterns. And then, well, it's not just a mathematical thing, it's the connection between sort of like nature and math because fractal patterns, as you'll put up here, they show up all over the place, right? Like
Yeah.
all different kinds of ways. And I think most humans, when they see it, they're like, wow, that's really trippy, but also it's like, that's really beautiful. And I didn't realize that the world around me had as many of these things as it does.
Yeah, I just again like it's this whole macro photography sort of stuff when it comes to like under the microscope and how we can kind of like highlight the beauty of some of the natural resources that are around us. And I think what I really loved about this was just that the different images that showcased. So I have a couple of them. This image being the first one, which just has that really beautiful tone of what I would see as like purpley bluey kind of colors. And I just kind of just love how deep that black is in comparison to it because of that kind of like that do you ever see those balls that if you touch you get an electric shock and like it goes bzz, and there's like that it follows your hand if you touch it on the ball and the electricity kind of comes through it. No?
No.
Nope, never seen that. Okay, I'll send you all a link. But that's what it reminds me of. Anyway. Yeah, in the link below. Look at that link. Okay, cool. Karen, what do you think of this one?
Yeah, well, I think I mean years ago I was talking to the children about how um you know in nature you can see repeating patterns. We were talking about
Yes.
patterns when they were
Mm,
doing something on it, and there was a fern, the fern frond,
Sure.
and you can actually see where it's self patterning, like it's continuously self patterning in its own likeness, and then of course snowflakes, which they aren't completely fractal, like but they are like repeating patterns in them, and it was really interesting. And this image is the one that I remember. When fractals comes up, you always get the Mandelbrot image, don't you? This one
mm.
is quite beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost psychedelic though as well, the way the
Yeah,
kind of
it
that
is.
that
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we
Yeah.
have more.
Well,
We
but
have another. Oh, sorry.
clear though, it's not like it's tied to a particular set of colors or anything, right? You can display any of these sets because they're essentially they're numbers, and that as you zoom in or zoom out, the same patterns get repeated. So
Yeah.
I've seen these same kinds of sets done in many different colors over the years because it's the pattern, right? It's the idea
Yeah.
that as you go from micro to macro, you're seeing the same there. Like this is a form of cabbage, like that's an
Mm.
actual thing that grows, and that's the way it actually grows.
I think that's super cool. I think cabbage or broccoli or something, wasn't it? Or is it some
Broccoli.
kind of
Yeah.
yeah. I loved how green that is.
Yeah.
Like the green is outrageous.
It's a beautiful green.
And then we have this image here, which is almost like, for me, I don't know if this is an aerial shot of some form of landscape or if this is actually some sort of,
Those are fjords. Those are fjords, right? It's like it's Slarty Bartfast from Hitchhiker's Guide. I like all the little crenellations. Well, the crenellations are these kinds of fractal sets.
Mm.
okay, so what is this image of?
That's like the land from above.
Oh, okay, oh, so it is. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I
Mm.
just thought that this was really cool. There was an astronaut that went into space. There was actually a fellow collective artist that has taken a lot of the images from space that were taken and done really beautiful textural paintings of them. Um, shout out to Catherine Daly. But they look quite like that, and just how again how beautiful the landscape is, and those patterns that are created, and how fabulous they can be as images.
Well, I think well, we talked about this before, right? It's this
Mm,
connection between sort of like the science and the art. They converge, and they converge at exactly where you can like put an image or a sound. I've seen very interesting things using data and then creating like musical compositions, for example.
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's beautiful.
I've seen patterns as well being developed through you were mentioned sound, Josh, through vibration, where
Mm,
sand is put on and then, a vibration or a particular frequency of vibrations are channeled through this metal, and it's binged, and then the sand separates into forming, geometric patterns which are very fractal-like in their nature because they could be repeated if there was a larger
mm.
area to be shown on. And yeah, this reminds me of like rivers and valleys, and look when you look at the image here. Yeah.
Well,
It's
as someone who paints, I paint a lot of geometric art, and I get questioned a lot, like, why do you do this? This is like obviously not what's out in the real world. It's like, well, no, actually, if you really want to get into realism, geometric art and like math connected art is actually what's mostly out there in the real world. You
Yeah.
have to,
It's always something that I kind of found difficult to kind of get on board with was when it came to like more like sound art and how sound art is kind of connecting with the more fractured sounds and how that kind of disconnects the disconnect of them and how we kind of somehow appreciate that in some ways. That I'm just never really a massive fan of it, but like I suppose I understand its dynamic and how it changes and shifts kind of people's perceptions and how it can put people off in some ways.
well, I
Yeah.
guess to me, it is like the same thing as if you're looking at any kind of non-figurative art,
Mm,
like some like the fact that there's nothing but patterns, or it's more a kind of psychological revelation of them, of
yeah,
what they see, as opposed to what's automatically intrinsically there. So
sure.
I
Yeah.
think any art has that to a certain degree, no matter how like realistic it might be. But I guess to me, it's like, well, don't we do the same thing with any kind of abstract art? The compositional element starts to become the point of the art as opposed to pointing to something externally.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And finally, we have this, which is kind of connecting back to our original story about our lungs and how they grow and shrink. And yeah, love that,
Yeah.
Josh. Love your interconnections going on there, where you're breathing in and out here today, aren't you? Um,
Uh,
namaste, namasama makusa.
oh, oh, money, om.
Excellent, excellent. So this is I don't know if this actually is lungs, though, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
So yeah.
Because no,
You
because I've seen this in kind of I've seen similar patterns things in different natural found objects in different natural found like
It's actually capillaries, not the lungs per se, right? The
mm,
capillaries that feed the lungs. And I think they're like because they're not symmetrical. There's a heart that gets in the chest too, so your lungs are different sizes.
yeah, fabulous. And there you go. Well, that tea is spilt on those beautiful images, and what a fabulous way to spend the day listening to Karen, Josh, and I speak about beautiful images only on Spill the RT. How about that? Anyway, so
It's
we're moving swiftly on now to our next story.
have such a nice Rob voice going right now. It's nice there. But
Excellent.
off we go to the interwebs, I guess.
I did the interwebs, my least favorite place.
There's a AI that has been admitted to an undergraduate BFA program.
Oh, shock.
That's yes. They call it they because it's less disruptive when it interacts with the other students and does peer reviews and does stuff. So they call it they, and they are in the middle of their program. They've had exhibitions. They've done critiques. They are AI who's interacting with humans as a fellow student.
Oh my
I'm just going
goodness,
to out
from
there.
the feck sake, from the perspective of Flynn here, I just think about right. So I was in Japan a couple of years ago, and I was blown away by what is now fairly standard across a lot of restaurants. That there was this walking robot that would collect your trays of dirty food and dishes and such. And deliver that to you once you put in the menu. There was literally a no human being serviced restaurant. And now looking at where we're at now, it's like, oh,
Okay.
scratch head. What am I going to do with my life?
First of all, that was a rolling robot, right?
Yes,
So it's not really interacting with the world like a human does.
not
But we're getting to
particularly.
that point, as we covered, and as we're going to cover again next week. The fully mobile and AI connected robot is already like in existence in parts of the world. I saw one attack a street vendor, and the street vendor didn't know what to do. It's like, here's a fucking robot coming at me. What am I supposed to
Oh dear, that's the start of it now, Josh. We are now going to be attacked by robots, and there's
do?
nothing
Hey,
we're going to be able to do about it.
as we've already put out there, the clankers are coming for me. I got no problem with that.
Yeah. Don't you just love our cynicism here on Spill the RT, Karen?
Yeah, I do, but in terms of AI and in terms of robot and interaction, I think, we already are interacting with the AI. We're using it all the time, and
Yeah.
I think it depends on who's programming it and what's feeding into it, whether it can be useful or not, and productive in a good way. I think it depends on the consciousness going in. That's
That's
what I would see.
collective. So this Flynn is an art project,
Yeah,
right? And so the collective that's putting it together, that's exactly what they've said, is that this
yeah.
is not your typical AI because it's not right acting as like the font of knowledge.
Mhm.
It's
Uh,
the interactions. Like you're programming the LLM the way we all thought LLMs would be programmed when we were kids, right? That it would learn because it'd grow up with you, next to you, and it's learning as it grows, kind of thing. And
hmm
so this is not like the AI is the professor. The AI is a BFA student a couple years into their program, right? And so
uh,
it's an interesting way of saying, well, this is an art project. It's designed to keep learning and growing, and it doesn't have all the answers. So I don't know, based on the research that I did, I don't know that people are interacting with it in the same way as they do with like a chat bot or anything that's even like the visual LLMs that are available to produce things for people. I think this is like really more kind of like a semi-autonomous being, if you will.
Mhm.
It's really weird to me. Just the whole thing is weird to me.
Yeah, it is really weird. Yeah. But and I'd heard I don't know, I was listening to some podcast and they were talking about, the capacity for AI or in whatever form it comes, in whatever form we interact with it, to supersede like the intelligence of human. It's already happening, and to be to inform itself, and to be and to interact with a human at the level of the human in
Yeah,
order
so they have that
to
intuition.
extract human ways and human qualities and stuff like that. I find that extremely interesting, that we're not far off, really.
Oh.
Yeah, people are using it for
They
their.
make these distinctions. There's AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, which
Mhm.
would be human equivalent, and then artificial super intelligence, which would obviously supersede the spectrum of human intelligences. And
Yeah,
it's a talking about in terms of like writing code, there are already almost to the point of artificial super intelligence.
yeah,
In terms of like actually interacting with humans is like normal, interactions. I have to work with these things for work. They're
no,
not.
no, no.
They're not.
Yeah.
No. Oh dear. Well, I don't know how they're going to perform in a live drawing class, but surely they'll
Yeah.
probably do something that's quite
Well, but that
specific.
like there are people who are using, I've seen like 3D plotters and various kinds of CAD CAM mechanisms, right, where
Hmm.
they're like paintbrushes, and they're essentially programming what those mechanisms do, right? It's just an armature essentially. So is it really that far off? I don't know, right? You could already have software that's doing that for you. The only difference would be, would you have labeled that software as like artificial intelligence?
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, let's see how Tyler gets on at his final exams at the end of this
Well,
semester.
hopefully he'll do well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember a writer, Rossi Brandotti, I think her name is. And honestly, the book it was about human post-human. It was like, and it was referring to all of this already happening. And I think it was 2013. I mean, she was sort of indicating that this is where we're going. And all I was thinking of was, we haven't really figured out what it is to be human yet. Like we don't
Yeah.
fully understand what it is to be human. Like, let's concentrate on what we have, and let the rest
Yeah.
follow, which it will, as
Yeah.
we progress.
I think that's actually the genesis of this project with Flynn, right? Because you
Mm.
code for creativity, because you can't really quantify like what it is to do what artists do of any kind.
Yeah,
The best attempt that is to let it like grow with other creatives and see what happens.
yeah,
And they're doing peer reviews, right? They're doing
yeah.
critique. Standard BFA program. It's giving and taking critiques.
Mm.
Amazing.
And
Okay. Oh dear. Oh dear. Right. Well, I'm spilling this tea. I'm spilling this tea before Flynn comes and gets me because I feel like he'll be knocking on my door and I don't want him near me. So, Flynn, stay where you are. Enjoy your school days because they're your best days in life, apparently. Anywho, so moving swiftly along to story number four, where are we heading to next, Josh?
so from the interwebs of nothing, off we go to outer space, where a new has been generated. I don't know if you can even see it, no matter how big we make this, but it's a shot from 160 million miles away of the Earth and the Moon together. And as you might imagine, the Earth is really tiny, and the Moon is basically just a pixel next to the Earth.
Yeah, it's
I just
ridiculous.
anytime we can do spectral photography of the heavens kind of thing, I like that because it puts a lot of things in perspective. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you are
it's
here.
like it's like, guys, your problems aren't that big.
Yeah.
I, I I have a tattoo of the whole galaxy and an arrow that says "You are here" on my arm for a reason. Like no matter how bad you're is. You might want to remind yourself of the bigger picture.
Yeah.
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 It's so funny though, isn't it? How people can just really get under your arms and just like really just dig in there. And it's like, do you know what? You are the
Yeah.
same size as me on this planet.
Yep.
Wow.
And that's
Yep.
all I'm going to say about it.
Far away, right? You're starting to get the perspective of what it looks like from like Alpha Centauri, right? Like if they have their equivalent of the Webb telescope 4.3 light years away, and they're
Mhm.
looking, this is what they're seeing, right?
Yeah,
We ain't nothing.
we ain't nothing. It's like looking down at a little ant farm.
Yeah,
They've got these little molehills and they've got all these little villages going on, and it's like I'm gonna squish you and I'm gonna squish you and I'm gonna squish you.
but not even that. At this kind of field of focus, it's more like you're looking down at paramecium through, a microscope, and like what you're seeing
Paramecium.
is just really removed from your life.
Yeah.
Paramecium, Eamon's word of the day. Tell us, everyone. Tell everyone and those at home. Paramecium. Define.
Para, para single-celled organisms that have little legs that move around. Did you not
Okay.
have to take a science class?
I don't know. I needed my science of the day, Josh, and the actual story wasn't enough. I needed to understand the definitions. You know, when you get a glossary of terms at the end of each chapter.
I
Yeah, a
see.
paramecium. Tiny little
So,
people with legs, apparently.
so I am now the podcast.
Yeah, you're the index and the glossary. We need one sometimes with some of the words that you spurt out. It's like sometimes I just wonder, is he just putting vowel sounds together?
A five-syllable word. Come
Five syllable
on.
words, paranecium. Excellent. Okay, so going off topic, what do you think of this, Karen? How do you feel?
Oh, well, I mean, it makes me think that we are, after all, in a simulation. I just, and I don't mean a sort of synthetic one. I mean one inside um, of our own making,
Yes,
yeah. Because
yes.
when you see something like this, it kind of blows your mind on perspective, even if you did perspectival kind of like line to match it just doesn't even make sense, like in terms of placing us in the universe and
Yeah,
our place on Earth. And I mean, yeah, the chances of us even being here in the first place. And then, so yeah, it brings me back, and I'm thinking, yeah, we're probably just going to look back and think we've created all of this ourselves, and we're
yeah,
we're creating as we go. And
yeah.
isn't that interesting?
We
What's
are,
next?
yeah,
Yeah,
we are definitely makers of our own
really,
destiny,
yeah,
whether that is torturous or divine, So
exactly.
there you go.
Yeah.
That was fabulous. Oh my God, can we put that on a mug or something?
And at the end of the day, from the perspective outside of the solar system, we're all one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
When we
yeah,
when we look at an external solar system, we're not looking at the differences. We're like, here's all the common elements that are part of that
yeah.
system.
yeah.
Right?
Oh
Everything
dear.
in us,
All right.
everything that's in us was in this system before we
Yeah,
existed, just before and after us. And like, I just think that like a lot of people, well, I don't think humans like have evolved to really think about things in this way, right? Like we come from like being close to the ground and avoid getting eaten. This is like a very different perspective on the universe.
It's like this. It's like super perspective. Isn't
it
like
is. Yeah.
as a term,
Yeah.
super perspective. Yeah,
And it brings you back to thinking of, if one could just stop for a moment to think of the shared human experience. I mean, that's
yeah,
what, like we're all okay, might be in our individual silos, creating as we go. But I mean, we're here together and we share grief, we share joy, we share, there are so many similarities if you go beyond just our color, our race, or creed, or whatever the hell,
mhm,
that is hardly even worth mentioning, considering the bigger picture where we're shared humanity. Like
yeah.
I think, yeah,
But in my experience, most people don't. That's not their reaction to that this kind of image. What they actually do is like it freaks them out, and I've seen people have like panic attacks and go into full existential
Mhm.
like
oh,
melt.
That's isn't that why like people who do go into space, like astronauts and such, they do come back with those existential
yeah,
crises because they're like, but like, what is the point?
yeah,
Because what is the point?
Well, and the people that I have read who have actually done it have said it really did change their perspective, but in a positive way because it
Yeah.
forced them out of the earth, let them see the whole earth. I mean, that could probably cause like some freaking out, but it definitely made them feel more connected to everything on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I,
This image has made me feel more connected to everything on the planet. It's like,
Yeah.
guys, can we have a bit more love and a little less hate, please?
Yeah.
You
It-
know?
It's
so
similar
let's
to what people have described when they've had near-death experiences, where
Yeah.
they've kind of left in moments like that. They always come back with the feeling of the true connection is, that feeling of oneness, that feeling. It makes them appreciate life even more, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So let's see if we can keep that. Let's see if your humanity is channeled, you two. Off we go to the Dutch.
Okay,
Off
we love the
we go,
Dutch.
off we go to the Van Gogh Museum, which is in danger of being closed. So,
Yes.
are you willing to put up your money to keep Van Gogh alive?
I'd be willing to put some money into just keeping myself alive sometimes. But sure, like if Van Gogh is stuck for a few pounds, I mean, I feel like we could put a few pennies together.
Yeah, it's more than a few pounds apparently though. It's millions and millions.
Okay.
And so they're threatening to close the museum, and the Dutch government's saying, we ain't got no more money. And the museum's saying, well, then you ain't got no museum. And if you think about the amount of tourism that you bring in because of
Mhm.
this museum, giving us a few million pounds or euros or whatever to
Yeah.
make that still happen is probably a good.
I've been to this museum. I've seen it firsthand. It's actually quite incredible. But
Yeah.
I don't know why they wouldn't invest in something that clearly has an economic benefit on their entire economy, essentially. And also further to that is that like I went there specifically to see that, even
Right.
though I'm not a massive Van Gogh fan. I appreciate him, but I'm not. I still went there to see that exhibition.
The Dutch government says, look, this is actually very high up on the institutions that we support list, right? Meaning it gets a ton of money already. And they're like, we
Okay.
have no more money.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
something's got to give here. And the logic, of course, you just articulated is wait a second, you're going to kill the goat that's bringing in people to come see the goat in order to what? Keep the goat going that you've now killed. If you
Hmm.
kill the main attraction for why people are coming there, right?
Yeah.
Then
Sorry.
it it's the typical administrative state
But
kind of.
what I've kind of read as well is like I was like, well, we need to invest our money in things like hospitals and policing and all that kind of stuff. And I kind of like, yes, but the money that's brought in from the people going to this museum through the tourism is and bringing people to actually spend in your cafes, your restaurants, your hotels, your whatever, and the museum itself, of course, are is bringing in the money to fund these hospitals, social care, etc.
There's only two reasons to go there. One involves illegal narcotics that are legal there, and the other one is Van Gogh.
Yeah, sounds like a
Sorry,
plan.
sorry, Dutch, but if you can give me a third reason to come to your country,
And Frank,
Well, they have the eye, the one where you go across the water to it,
yeah.
the link in it. I mean, sorry, I've lost my voice here now. Just gonna, um,
so
I,
shocked, the Dutch government will not call up the
sorry,
country.
excuse me.
Karen is shocked. She can't believe it. She's
I'm
like,
just in
I
shock.
am a
Yeah, I don't understand it if it's bringing in so much revenue and yeah,
and
I
yeah,
don't
that's
know.
but that's the thing. Like administrative decisions rarely have anything to do with like reality, in my experience, and much more to do with like their kind of presuppositions about how things are.
yeah.
And the reality here is what's paying your bills, ministers, is the
Yeah,
tourist money, the hotel taxes, the right like
But
that.
this is an issue across many states insofar as like we have this massive debate at the moment as to why the benefit for the artists that has been distributed by the Irish government is being halted or not, or should it not, or should it go ahead again? And they're like, well, why should we just give artists just an advanced dole, as we'd call it? And it's like, well, no, because that's you're missing the entire point. The
mm.
creative arts is not developed by the government. It's developed by the people who make it, and it's just like, oh, anyway.
But most people are going to go to Amsterdam for one of two reasons. They're trying to shut down reason number one. They don't like the red light district. They don't like that whole cannabis culture, right?
Yeah.
Like they're just again to try to have tourists not come for that. Okay, so then what's your alternative? Oh, there's this whole other thing. This guy named Van Gogh, or this whole
Yeah.
museum, right? But we're not going to actually pay to keep it up. Oh, okay.
Isn't it funny though that because like he has, doesn't he have another like massive, if not museum wing at the very least in somewhere like in like San Francisco, in like in New York and in London. There's definitely some Van Gogh stuff as well, but like there's like dedicated spaces across the world for him, and in his hometown that there isn't.
Well, this is the whole museum, right? The difference
Yeah,
is, yeah, you're right. There are different like wings and pieces of in various museums around the world. For someone who never sold much in his lifetime, he was incredibly prolific. So
that
there's
would
a
be
lot of
me.
out there, right?
Yeah,
But the museum is supposed to be like the Disneyland of Van Gogh. Like you're the one who was there. You tell me.
yeah, it
It's
is.
supposed to be different, right?
It
So,
is. You
so
go
this
in
is
and it's like this big immersive experience. You see all of his works that are just like almost animated in a way through the digital installations, and then they have the most incredible. I'm selling it for them, and then they have the most beautiful, exhibitions and presentations of the actual work itself, and it's really beautifully done, and it's like a state of the art museum. It's not like just a blank white space with like just some of his paintings. It's the technology that they've used for the gallery is stunning.
in my experience, that might be exactly where the problem comes from, right? Because
Probably, yeah.
well, they'll outlay these initial huge cash amounts in
Yeah,
various budgets to buy stuff like this, but
yeah.
they don't factor in the upkeep. And
The
so,
maintenance.
yeah, they did this to me with smart classrooms over the years. They would
Yeah,
spend all kinds of money, give us all kinds of new stuff. 8 months later, when it was breaking, they're
yeah.
like, "Oh, sorry, we don't have any money." So it's a waste. Like, why do this at all then if you're not
That's
going to do it
so
right?
oh, that's so typical government and how they spend their money. Like they'll
Yeah,
build the most beautiful $10 billion infrastructural pieces, like whatever. It's a gallery, a hospital, a science museum, whatever. And they're like, oh yeah, but we need to actually paint this every year, or we need to change a light bulb in every room. That's like
yeah.
across hundreds and thousands of square feet. That's a lot of money.
Mm.
Well,
And there were
on,
mixed reviews about it as well. It wasn't received as well as I think they had expected it to
Yeah,
be, you know. So, and I think in some, I don't know where I read, there's probably one of those, it wasn't hyper allergic. I can't remember where I read it, but might be in there. But the fact that it almost removed people from the art, like whereas
yeah,
the experience of actually seeing the piece, this panorama,
yeah,
moving thing, that it
yeah,
actually had the opposite effect, that
yeah.
it almost like bastardized or something, or
Completely.
it kind of removed it from the actual
Yeah.
of the paintings, so people
I
weren't.
have I have that same experience. So there's a kind of like that sort of animated paintings that happen in these big like life size, and if not like all-encompassing panoramic installations in the likes in London. I've been to a couple of them, and it's great and impressive, and it introduces a lot of people to the artworks, which is probably one of the great things about it. But you're right, it takes you away from you trying to discover the piece in its true form.
Yeah,
well, but because the whole point is not about the true form at that point, right? Like
Yeah.
it's the Yasoi Kusama experience. It's the
yeah,
Mm,
Van Gogh experience. Like there are
yeah.
multiple travel around, and the whole point is the digital immersivity, not the real world, right?
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
simulacra because a simulacra is a digital recreation of something that
yeah,
doesn't. This is trying to create an immersive sort of like what do they call it? Artificial vision or
Oh,
like
like an
vision.
augmented reality sort of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
And the whole
yeah,
goal there is like it's digital and that's why you're using it. And
yeah,
like
yeah,
what we're talking about is the opposite, right? Like you're deliberately trying to stay analog and not go digital in a way.
yeah. I was like, it's because a lot of them are now interactive as well. You move your hand one way, and then because of the multiple camera sources, it flows with it, kind of a thing.
So this is a nice natural transition over to you, Karen, because of
Yes.
your current show.
Yeah. Speaking of
Yeah.
big work, I mean, oh my God, I had seen your work on Instagram, and I haven't been. I to be honest, I haven't heard of your work before, Karen, and I'm thrilled that we've come across you through our own network. So I think for people like me and Josh, and lots of our listeners and viewers, tell us about you and your background and where you come from, and like what inspires you and all of that.
Well, I'm based in Dublin, and I'm in the Digital Hub, which is on Thomas Street, an old part of Dublin. And I suppose if what inspires me, I'm painting is core, but I'm also an expanded painter. So I sculpt and videography and text, written text and stuff like that. So whatever I feel it's but sorry, going back to painting, painting is core, and the idea that I'm kind of working with is perception,
Yeah.
and how perception is a best guess, really, and that the more information you get, all your accumulated ideas and accumulated life experiences, and you're never going to be finished because
Mm.
the more you add another piece to the jigsaw puzzle of life, your perception can change,
Yeah.
and so that's a continuous process, and so that's the way I work as well. I work from with color, color being kind of like I suppose if you want to go the essence, I wake up thinking of a color and I start with that, and then I
Oh,
let
cool.
color be the driving force of where I'm going,
Yeah.
and then positions of different colors and opacity
Oh,
and translucency. So yeah, so it's like it's like it organically grows like the forms that emerge
brilliant.
on the linen. I use linen canvases, and they're usually large scale,
Yeah. So
and
yeah,
then
before I show everyone some of
yeah,
your work,
yeah,
you've just had the opening of an exhibition last week.
yes,
So
yes.
I'll just show them one piece, a little preview of that exhibition, just to give
Yeah,
people an idea of the grandeur of this space.
okay.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the process of this exhibition
Yeah.
and how you came to create this?
Well, first of all, it's called an outer reflection of an inner reality,
Okay.
and it consists of 22 pieces, and nine of them are large scale, like 2.4 by 1.8 meters painting. So there are nine of those, and
Wow.
I've used mirrors, um, metaphorically, the inner reflection, and also like a physical reflection, so that visitors will become part of it. So it responds to interaction, if you know what I mean. Because
Mm.
on the opposite side of the wall, there's another span of these are on a slight elliptic kind of curve, and they're freestanding. And this one down is on the back, is in the second gallery space, which you can see from the main gallery. It just goes right down to the back. And so there, as people move throughout it, they can see themselves both in through the mirrors. They can see themselves as become part of the
Mm.
installation, and it is quite an immersive experience when you're standing in it because it's over body size, so
Yeah.
you're swamped by it, like
Yeah.
and embraced by it, basically, and yeah, so it's been really well received. It's mostly, I mean, people say that it's like it's enveloped them, and it is experiential. And I suppose that's what I would look at in terms of, I had an amazing, profound experience in the Tyrrell Gansfeld, and I had actually, I mean, I'd written a thesis on him as well. And I suppose I love immersive environments, and I love people
Mm.
to interact with the work and to complete the work in a way, because
Yeah.
they're bringing new narratives, and it's through their interaction, it's through, people who see it, their interactions, they're adding other layers to the work as well. Like, I know that, yeah. You want to ask me questions about it, would be helpful. Just um, and so this part is called Wild and Untethered, and um, yeah, it's the linen, the painting is 2.4 by 1.8, and so it was in a beautiful space, like it's in the Lexicon, in Dunleary, the Municipal Gallery in Lexicon Gallery in Dunleary, which
Yeah.
is along the coastline. It's a beautiful space, and yeah, I had been awarded that through an open call, I put a proposal in, and obviously I made a model and said what I'd like it to look like, and so then I had to follow through. It was just as simple as that.
Josh, you
Yeah.
had a question there.
Sorry, John. Yeah.
Ask about the current exhibition. What's the total size? Because there's so many large pieces that are
Yeah.
there. How large is the actual space?
Yeah. Well, it's I'm using about it's quite long, and so I think it's about 8 or no, is it 9 meters wide, and what you see to the first part of it is 20. I'm using 22 meters um into the space, and then there's another further 6 meters, I think, where Josh, you had up the last image. So that's kind of, Walden Untethered. That's a separate gallery. Yeah, you can see that from the main. So it's quite large. I had the interstitial spaces, if that's the word, interstitial, yeah, spaces were mirrors. So they were all abutted by mirrors, and they were all on this slightly elliptic, bend,
Mm.
this here. And yeah, and then on the other side of the wall, I don't think you have a picture of that, but there are three large on the horizontal, and again that with mirrors. Yeah, you can just barely see it there on the right hand side. That I don't know if you went 2, 4, 6, 7.5 meters of, yeah, no more. I can't work it out. I'm not great at math. I'd say
That's okay. I just think
about
that
eight,
there's
maybe 8 meters, 8 meters wide on that. Yeah,
haven't spoken about like the interactivity of the installations that
yeah,
we're talking about, the digital installations that we're talking about
yeah,
in our previous story, to see this very physical work, and of
yeah.
which all of them are big, like a hand done paintings, and to be as immersed in that as well. I love mirrors too. I love working with mirrors. I
Yeah,
think they're really great, and I just think
yeah,
how you can bring yourself into it through the mirror is brilliant. How you can further expand the work. Uh,
yeah, yeah.
with doing quite little to make that impact, which is quite cool how effective mirrors can be in that way. But I think is this been the scale, or the question I had in my head was is this a scale that you've been working on all the time? Have you always been working at this size?
Yeah, I've worked even on individual pieces. I've worked even more, even larger than the individual ones that are there, which I said
Mm,
were 2.3 by 1.8, 2.4 by 1.8. So I had done about, I think it was like when I was over in Austria, and I was lucky enough to have like 120 meters square, a loan of 120 meters square studio space. And I put it up um, for, I think it was about 6 meters. So that was the largest individual painting that I had done, and I rolled it and brought it back to Ireland. I think with me, sorry, excuse me, it's more a question of like allowing things to unfold. So if I
yeah.
had a hanger, for airplanes, I would literally unfold into that. I very soon, yeah. So I just seem to be like I was told I needed to always have a big space, or uh, somebody that I'd become rich in order to house the stuff that I'm making. It's
Yeah.
like, because it's kind of consistently generative. It seems to be the way I go at work. Like one thing leads to another, and I'm already thinking of making, and it grows organically. So uh, yeah,
Amazing.
it's a very nice way to work. It's very, very freeing. It doesn't always, I mean, everything I touch doesn't always work out. So there have been some deaths along the way, that I've just said I can't.
Yeah.
So I just moved on. But um, it's it's beautiful for me. Not forget about the work, but it's such a beautiful experience for me to actually, when I'm in the studio, it's 5 meters by 5 meters, and I could only have ever seen three of them up at a time, and I
Mm.
rotate them, and they're dry, and they go like Gerhard Richter in my head style,
Oh,
against
stop
against
calling my
against this
language.
wall in the drying area, in the
Yes.
viewing area. I mean, it's literally, so I've never actually seen them all together except for in my mind's eye.
Yeah.
And I had a feeling it would work, but then I was really hoping it would work. So, like the way it is,
Yeah.
it's so when
And
it was all installed, I breathed a sigh of relief.
have you ever tried to do the translation of that to a smaller scale? Or are there smaller works that you've created that would create similar impacts?
Yeah, I make small works as well, and I don't know if this is going to work if I'd grab it, but I had a small model made of this, so it's just here. But sorry, I didn't answer your question. I do make small works, but for me, it's the experience of it enveloping
Yeah.
and being able to walk into a space and walk out of it and have a look and go back into it. It's yeah, I get a buzz, I get energy from doing it. Like it's, although it is physical, I certainly feel on a high after a good day's work, when I
Yeah.
really get stuck in and yeah.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
How long is this show up?
It's on for 2 months, so it's opened now and it's on until the 9th of November.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So, and where can we find out more about this exhibition?
Well, if you go on to the Dunleary Rathdown County Council website, they have a big thing up on it. I will be updating my website with it. And on my Instagram account, I have which some people might find interesting if you want to see the background and how it was made and the installation. I have
Yeah.
a reel up on that, and
Brilliant.
it shows basically from when they were carried out of my studio to when the structure, because I had easel structures holding them all when they were all set up, and there's another reel then of the opening night, which will show it with
Cool.
people interacting with it, and I will be doing a more focused in on the artworks over time. But
Brilliant.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
So those of you who are not in Dublin or in the vicinity of Dublin, do check out Karen's social media at karen.ebbs and in the links that we will post into our descriptions below in there, where you will also leave a comment on how fabulous Karen's work is. And as well, what you will do is you will stay posted to Karen's social media channels where she will post all of her cool, fabulous videos in the next coming weeks. And those who are in the Dublin area, get your sorry behinds to that exhibition, have a look, and share your love by engaging with her social media so that she can share it with everybody and as many as she possibly can, because that costs nothing, guys, but it helps us out a lot. It helps us wee little artists very much so. Karen, you've been absolutely fabulous on the show, and we've been
thank
so
you.
grateful for you for coming on. So thank you
Thank you.
so much. You've been great.
Thank-
Yay, Bula Bus.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Eamon.
No
Yeah.
problem, no problem. That is the end of our 60th episode of Spill the RT. Of course, you will spill the RT with us again next week as we go into 61. We continue the journey. But happy Culture Night in Ireland to those in Ireland. That is being celebrated tomorrow on the 17th, 19th of September. So do get out to your local establishment and see all of the cool, fabulous things that are happening in your local town and city. Check out culturenut.ie. I am not being endorsed by Culture Night. However, there you are, sharing the love, no less. And Josh, anything happening stateside that people should be thinking about other than um,
I was
damning
just
some politics?
I was just thinking of the irony that you're talking about cultural night, and for us to be more like a destruction of cultural everything. But that's a whole other show.
Yeah, no, we love to embrace culture in Ireland. We invest in culture, don't we, Karen?
Yeah,
Yeah,
hopefully
yeah,
we do.
exactly.
We do.
Don't we, Ireland? We love
Yeah.
culture, don't we, Ireland? Yes, we do. Don't we?
Yes, we
Don't we,
do.
government? Yes. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. It's all about that, like, that whole thing of like, what's that thing when you say something to a child and it's like reverse psychology, that's the
Reverse
one.
psychology.
Reverse psychology. Anywho, Josh, any end notes?
We made it to another
We,
episode.
we did. Would you like to tell our audience what they should do?
Oh, see that little thing there? You're supposed to hit it. That's the subscribe button. And then there's this other little thing that has this like bell shape. You're supposed to
Ding,
hit
ding,
that
ding.
one. You do that, and apparently everybody will love you.
Leave a comment. Leave a comment. That's your line, Josh. Leave a comment.
Woo, he's
Leave a comment, Josh.
I just want you to keep whispering shit. It's hilarious. No,
Everyone, leave a comment. Anywho, that's all we have time for today, folks. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll be right back with spilling more tea next week. Goodbye
Bye.
and stay creative. Bye.